It is that time of the week, and we are back. My brother Tony is joining us, standing in 6'6", 225 pounds. How we feeling today?
I'm good, man. Ready to yap a little bit about sports and whatnot.
Amen. So, Super Bowl result. We talked a little bit about it on group chat, obviously last week. In your opinion, for how the game looked versus your expectation, just on how the game looked, did it turn out like you thought it would?
Did it turn out how I thought it would? I can't necessarily say that. I thought the Seahawks would win. I'm not surprised that they won in a dominant fashion, but I did think it'd look a little bit different. I thought maybe the offense would be clicking a little bit smoother. Kenneth Walker had a great game, obviously, but the passing game wasn't up to what it was in prior weeks. Especially when you think about the Rams game, and then on the New England side, them getting bullied like that in the trenches is not necessarily surprising. But I thought they'd be able to counter some things to get their guys going a little bit, maybe get the ball in Booty's hands a little bit more. Maybe try to establish a run game as best as you could, even if that involved like using Drake on some stuff there, but they never did. And like I said, like I texted you guys yesterday, I think this is a top 10 defense of all time to me, and they showed it for sure. Finishing off with the title and with a dominant performance in the title game. It's yeah.
The defense I think is a little tricky. Now, there was three defenses to me that could have made a claim if they had gone all the way. Obviously, Houston's defense would have had a claim if they had gone all the way and won the Super Bowl. I thought Denver's defense would have had a claim, and then obviously Seattle's. I think my only thing that really hurt Seattle, I said this a little bit last week, where yes, they're probably a little too close to the Legion of Boom, and I don't think they're that good, which I think hurts them a little bit. I also think who you beat in the Super Bowl does matter to a degree. It's like the Legion of Boom beating, like just dog walking the Broncos, who had the highest scoring offense ever. Like that's a stat for them. And so I think when you do it to Drake May, who has had obviously an MVP level year, but not a great postseason, I think that also kind of goes against him. But Seattle's defense is amazing, and they dominated that game. Speaking of Drake, we say all the time, you are never guaranteed to get back. And historically, if you take out Brady, Mahomes, Montana, and Bradshaw, it's even tougher to ever get back. Because those guys have, 18 Super Bowls between the four of them, right? If you're a Patriots fan today, what is the solace you take from this season, knowing that it's not a guarantee you might be in this position again, even though you've got who we consider a great head coach and a great young quarterback?
I don't subscribe to the "we'll be back." I never do. I never have. I don't subscribe to the idea of, oh, we'll be back. Like, that may have been their only chance, and they failed. And, like, you got to live with that. Now, you work as hard as you can to get back. But the reality of the matter is, like, we've seen it over the last few years. Two of the four teams that represented conferences and championship games, you think about the Ravens, you think about the Lions, 2 seasons ago. Like, it's not as if that was, years and years ago. That was 2 seasons ago. And since then, they've both gone, they went conference title game, lost close. They went divisional round, and then they've missed playoffs. Like, you can never think that you'll be back. You can never operate under the guise of "we'll be back." So when you get that chance, when you are there, you have to do everything you can to take advantage of that moment. And did New England do that yesterday? I don't know. I don't know the game plan. I don't know what things were, so I can't say that they did or didn't. But that may have been their only chance under this regime of Vrabel and Drake May.
Yeah, there's a stat going around right now, and it's tough because obviously all of these guys, one of them is a definitive Hall of Famer, one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. The others have all made great impacts. Quarterbacks that have lost a Super Bowl in their second year. It's Marino, it's Burrow, it's Purdy, and it's now Drake. And so obviously it's like, but none of them ever gotten back, which is why those four are grouped together, because they never made it back. Obviously, in real time, there's maybe no better, oh yeah, we'll for sure be back than Marino. Like in 84, Marino broke essentially every record by a mile. Like he revolutionized passing back then. You did say, I'm curious as far as I know the game plan, but you did, if I can divulge, you did call both game plans yesterday from the two teams pussy play calling and that you hated it. I wanted to give you the minute to expand on that.
That comes down to the sequence there. I want to say it was second quarter. I could be wrong, but I want to say it was the second quarter where it was just very like pedestrian and very game managing play call. And it's just like on the side of the Seahawks, if you legit don't think they could score points on you, I can understand the idea of playing a little bit more conservatively. But that's just a tricky game to play in the era where the quarterbacks are just more athletic and more dynamic than they've ever been. And an era where the game is more unpredictable than it's ever been. We've seen it throughout these playoffs and throughout this season. So I don't like not going for touchdowns. I don't like not going for big explosive plays, especially when you have the advantage as the Seahawks had during that stretch of the game when it was close and both offenses was flat. And on the side of the Patriots, your only chance to essentially win that game was taking shot plays. Now, due to the Seahawks defense, they just didn't have the chance to get many of those off. Not even to say they didn't call them, they didn't dial them up, and they didn't want to attempt them. They just found themselves in a spot where it was kind of locked down and didn't get the chance to do so. So I can understand that. But yeah, I'm just not a fan of just pedestrian play calling and let's just get to the next down, not next down, but let's just get a field goal play calling. Like that doesn't move me.
That's fair. Do you think, does this take, for kind of our last Super Bowl question, I guess we'll take both sides because you are a fan of both quarterbacks in the game. Does this playoff run, and I don't really hold it too much against Drake May, but are you going to look at it differently considering that he really didn't play great in any singular game, and now because they lost Super Bowl in the fashion they did, there's a lot more credence to it. It's like, oh, well, they only got here because they played a backup quarterback or because CJ imploded or because Herbert looks like it just doesn't work for him in the postseason. And with Sam, your viewpoint on his entire story going from obviously top 5 pick, didn't work with the Jets, bounced around the league, and now he's a Super Bowl champion. Shout out to the meme, and I don't know why we threw shots at Josh Rosen. I have no idea. Like, y'all had 3 other quarterbacks you could have kept in there. Josh Rosen is doing somebody's taxes, and y'all just threw shots at him from like a distance. That was crazy. But your opinion on both quarterbacks after this game and the seasons they've had?
Great seasons by both. Like shit, Drake May, run up to MVP. A lot of people probably thought he should have won. Look at what Sam did this year. Only quarterback not named Tom Brady to have back-to-back 14-win seasons. Like that means a lot. That's a big deal. He should be very proud of that. So yeah, I think they both had great seasons. It just ended better for Sam than it did Drake. But Drake has a lot to build on. The Patriots obviously have to improve what's in front of him when you think about the offensive line, and they'll grow. Starting 2 rookies on the offensive line against what I just said is a top 10 defense of all time. That's a tough matchup for anybody. But they'll get better. Obviously, got to improve his weapons as well. You kind of saw the deficiencies in the receiving core last night when nobody could get open. So that they'll have to improve there. And then when you look at Sam, for as many teams as he's been on and for as long as it's felt like he's been in the league, he's got another 10 in him. What does the next 10 look like compared to the first 10? So very excited for him to Sam Darnold was a fucking Super Bowl winning quarterback. Like Sam Darnold won the Super Bowl. And it's just something that we don't really get to see. Like, first quarterback to win the Super Bowl after playing for 5 teams, like going from, the next face of New York and the savior of Jets football to a backup in Carolina, a backup in San Francisco, and kind of just being away from the spotlight completely to getting the Minnesota job and getting things getting his career back in order and putting them on a path to maybe compete for a title, and then getting here to Seattle this year and exceeding all expectation and leading them to a Super Bowl. So you're very, very happy for him and very excited to see how he can parlay this into just even more success in this back part of his. I don't even want to say back part of his career, really, because shit, if this is Lamar and Josh's prime years, how can it not be Sam's? So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what this next chapter for him looks like.
Now the story's dope. I talked last week a little bit about it's tough to like replicate this kind of story because the unfortunate part or reality of like Sam's the only one that's made it. Like out of like there's no like Adam Gase just got a job again. And like there's no coach that's been here the whole time with Sam Darnold that's still in the league actively getting paid. Like Sam to be able to get the X amount of chances, it's a really hard thing to say, oh, this is repeatable or a blueprint for other guys because most guys aren't going to get 8 years. Like you can't tell an owner and a GM like, hey, look, man, for 5 years, it's going to be rough. But year 6, we taking off. Like, no, you're getting fired before that point. Looking ahead to the future a little bit. So Denver, New England, and Jacksonville were the new teams this year. For teams that had not been in the playoff ring and had not been one of the premier teams the last couple of years, those are the top 3 seeds. And if you compare them to who's been the dominant 3 teams, Chiefs, Ravens, Bills, if you were to put money on it, what do you think is more likely to happen next year? That the new 3 teams continue to keep improving, getting better, and solidify themselves, or do you think we get back to Mahomes, Lamar, Josh continuing to dominate the AFC?
Eventually, you'll get back to that. I don't know if it's next season, just due to Mahomes' injury and the turnover with Buffalo. I don't want to say turnover because obviously Joe Brady's taking over, but they haven't had a great off season from a PR standpoint thus far. So kind of want to see what the vibes are like next year there. And then the Ravens got a new coach, and they have a lot of things to fix. They have free agents to re-sign. They have to figure out Lamar's contract. So they have their own things to work out as well. I think next year is more likely that, we get more parity in the AFC, be it the Chargers take a step, be it the Broncos continue what they did this year, New England comes back even better, be it Houston improves their offensive line. I think that, the Ravens do get it together and they go on a run, or Josh and Buffalo can figure it out post Sean McDermott and they can go on a run. I think the AFC is looking at another scenario where it's as wide open as it's ever been in the Chiefs era. And then, the NFC is always going to be, a dog fight for everybody involved. So that side of it is always interesting to see how it plays out because coming into this year, everybody, I'm sure the Eagles were the odds-on favorite to get back there just based on the roster makeup and how they ended last year. And we saw what happened to them. They imploded from inside. So you never know over there. But I think another parity-filled season is on the way because this won't change people's opinion of Sam Darnold because he didn't light the world on fire yesterday in that win. The defense was dominant. So I don't think Seattle will come into next season as an overwhelming favorite to win the title again, even though they'll get the respect as defending champs. So next year's going to be interesting. Next year's going to be very, very interesting. Free agency obviously has to play out. The draft has to play out. But I think we're looking at next year the same way we did this year with any of these teams can win the championship.
As I say, shout out to also your draft predictions from last year. Like
smoked it. Smoked it. Smoked it.
I guess that's my last question. You kind of already hinted at it. The same way, and this is not even trying to be disrespectful, but I genuinely think last year's Eagles roster is one of the greatest rosters of all time. Should Seattle be the maybe not overwhelming favorite, but should they be the definitive favorite to be champs next year?
I say yes, just because they can get better themselves. Like they can improve the receiver room around JSN and Rashid Shaheed. I don't know what they'll do with Cooper Kupp who looked well. He moved well in the playoffs. I don't think Cooper Cup looked bad. He looked like he moved well, but I think they can add another more dynamic receiver to go around Shaheed's speed and just everything JSN can do. And then the defense is not going anywhere. Like, they'll obviously probably let Tariq Woolen go in free agency, but they have capital. Like, the Seahawks control their picks, and they'll have a few dollars to move around. Like, Sam is on a fucking bargain deal, so they'll be right back here next year to defend the championship. Whether they do it, that's another story. But they have everything necessary they have everything that you want to have to be in the spot again. A young piece on the offensive line that's movable and grazeable, that can play all over the place if they want to make some moves there. Charles Cross balled out. Kenneth Walker, I think, proved that he should be the bell cow lead back of this offense, even with Charbonnet there. And they just get a lot of production out of the tight ends. As we saw, that was the only touchdown they got yesterday on offense was from the tight end, room. So they always get good production there. And we'll see. But like I said, I think that they should definitely be leading in the room when you think about teams that can win the championship.
No, I agree. That's kind of where I'm at with them. Is I don't feel as, and obviously I was wrong, but I don't feel as confident them as I did about Philly last year. But I do think they should be the number one team. And obviously I was a Rams guy all year long, which I think the Rams still, in the hypothetical world of opinions and eyes, it's like I still think they have an argument as the second best team in the sport this year, but they lost, and that's how it goes. Hey man, appreciate you as always. Don't forget you can check out Tony 3:30 p.m. Pacific time every single Wednesday, group chat podcast. Hey, appreciate you, bro, and we'll catch you then.
See you, man.
I mean, if you want to be a part of one of the coolest, most unique communities, don't forget to like and subscribe.